There we go.
Indeed. Ardra, smile
So-
upon you for your decision.
Right. Play Ardra's advocate.
This episode is sponsored by Ardra. If you want to sell your soul for 1,000 years of peace, email ardra@ardra.com.
True story, bro.
It's not a bad joke, I think. That wasn't too bad.
That was good. That was good. So 20 people here right now, 23 likes. That's a good way to start off.
Yeah. You know what? I will share straight away. I'll get us right into this.
Do it.
Yes, I'll tell you, Matt.
Okay. So guys, while he shares, you know the routine. If you guys can help out the channel by doing a super chat, please do so. It'll get your comment read, your question answered, all that jazz for everyone to see and hear, because we can read them all. If you want to send a PayPal, you can do that as well. The PayPal information is down in the description of every video, so check that out. And if you do send a PayPal, let us know via the regular chat or letting the moderators know, so that we can read your comment or question via the email for that. So we also have our Teespring store, where you can get some cool Trekyards merchandise, shirts, and cool stuff like that. And don't forget that there are other cool things down in the description below of every video, as I said, for Eagle Moss discount codes and stuff like that. So check it out. And we look forward to seeing you checking all that stuff out. True story. True story. All right, so yeah, today we're on episode 13 of season 4, so it's at the halfway mark for all of TNG, and yeah, it's a good one. Devil's Due. So, guys, let me know in the chat how many people have actually just watched this in preparation for the review here. Thank you, Ozzy. And yeah, let me know. Let us know. And then we'll get right into it as soon as Samuel gets back. This is definitely one of my favorites, and one that I remember quite a bit from when I was a kid. So it's going to be good to take a look at this one again. And I love the way this one starts out as well. So,
Hi.
hi.
Hi, Dr. Stewart.
Hi, Commander Cockings.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. So here we are, and we got... and just a little shout out, though, the new Mandalorian trailer did come out today. And it was good. And that's my comment about it. It looked good.
Yeah.
Your comment on it, Stuart?
It looked good.
You'll have 2 comments, Stuart.
And it's I'm looking forward to it because it looked good.
Sweet. Yeah, I think it looked more ambitious than season 1. And if a lot of those exterior sets are still the interior set, then that's even more impressive, because they do lots of wides. It's
A few people have watched this episode in preparation for our review.
Good stuff.
People haven't watched it in a while, so
yes, this is one that I think is one of the more memorable ones of TNG, because you're just like, oh yeah, her. You probably forget the little bits, but it's just like, oh yes, that one. You know?
wow. Actually this one was a holdover from the phase 2 ideas, but you can see this one being very TOS, you know. So yeah, that works out really well. I'm glad they kind of held it back and waited till we're actually at the midway point of TNG, all of TNG right now.
Yep. So,
and this is episode 13 of season 4. You know, 13 is usually an unlucky number, and the devil. Ooh. Was that planned? Don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's basically a Q episode, but without the Q.
Yeah.
So yes, there's definitely TOS in that respect.
Well, this is almost like a Harry Mudd episode. Like, she's kind of like the Harry Mudd of TNG. How she's got like 23 aliases in this system alone. She's just, you know, and I love how they leave it open that, ooh, she could come back.
Well, I would say Vash is more the Harry Mudd, but with means well.
Oh, no, totally different.
Yeah, this is the God vibe, because we learn so little about the trickster that you can't really make much deduction except she's a con artist. But there's nothing. They don't spend any time on that, which is a shame. But it is weird though that given especially TOS, if there's been a TOS or Phase 2, the amount of godlike aliens that are genuinely from the past, like Apollo,
Yeah.
like more times out of 10, it's a real god alien than a fake god alien. As weird as that is, in TNG it's the reverse. Obviously we as the secularists, it's like of course she's not God or at least the devil. But it's interesting how there's not even a the TOS would have approached it differently.
Yeah, I think so. It's actually like the I forget the name of the episode for the animated series, the magics of. And it's actually got the devil from Earth's mythology on this planet. So, can't remember the name of the episode.
Yeah,
but anyway,
popular figure.
Absolutely.
Never thought I was going to say that today, but hey ho.
Anyway, like I said, like I was telling them when you were sharing, this is one of my favorites from when I was a kid. This one I remember quite a bit for various reasons. I did like the opening, of course, with the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol thing. It was really great, and then just the whole ancient aliens vibe of the futuristic technology can appear very magical. I love that in any of these shows, and this one really highlights that very well. And it was just fun, the whole discovering exactly what happened and how it happened. I would like to see the other half of this episode where they're on the Enterprise and the shuttle's coming into dock. And all of a sudden it's like we have no control, we can't message them, and just get that process from that side.
Because there certainly wasn't enough of an explanation as to why they couldn't launch a shuttle. Like if they were cloaked, exactly. I could buy they couldn't beam, that's dangerous, but they could launch any one of their 6 shuttles.
They said there was a dampening field, so maybe all the systems were down or something. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a problem though with the idea of her ship. Because, boy, she can beam through the Enterprise's shields effortlessly and back in the same second. And she can cause tremors, which itself isn't too hard. And she can have a cloak. And it's far away. It's not as if they're near the Enterprise. They were far away. Extend a cloak and have it be not able to do anything else. I mean, the technology in the ship is actually pretty extraordinary. Otherwise, they couldn't, do all that. You would think the Enterprise could easily undo a... Look, we're in a cloaking field. Why can't they just, warp out? Or heavily impulse. I mean, the Riker side would have been interesting. Like, how desperate were they? Because you kind of get the sense they were on the planet for a few hours without the Enterprise. Yeah. Because they're definitely alone. But
and even the ending where they go over to her ship and confiscate her ship and the crew. That would have been great to see that part.
Yeah.
I think usually that's the part of the episode, or that's the part we would see in a regular episode, 2 Scrooges on a holodeck puts in $2. Her neck is long enough to be a Cardassian. But can she do the Cardassian neck trick? That's the question.
Yeah. No, that's true. It should have been a great Cardassian, actually. Or just as many things.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, bring her as a Klingon, a Romulan, Ferengi. She could probably do all the parts. She's very interesting, this episode. Yeah. So is there any specific positive, negatives? We can't just go into a general discussion, but is there any, why you like it so much beyond the sort of general vibe? Or should I skip to what I think about it?
Well, I kind of already said, the whole ancient astronaut thing. I just think it's great. And the way it starts out as well, using the holodeck for Christmas Carol. Another one of my favorite things when I was a kid, still is, for around Christmas time. So we've got Sherlock Holmes, we've got this. I mean, I love it. It's great.
Basically, they wrote this episode to appease to your childhood self. Is the vibe I'm getting here.
Because they knew in the future we'd be reviewing this, and they wanted a good score.
Oh, they knew.
They did know.
For me, this one is great. It's weird because we know obviously she's not what she is. It actually comes off as lighthearted, even though it's a serious episode. It's that weird balance of we know and therefore, but also it's dramatic, and it kind of has fun on both sides. I mean, the way she goes after Picard is obviously played a bit silly, but the way they handle the trial is quite serious. The way she deals with everyone is very serious, but she has fun with it. So it's a very, very interesting balance. And honestly, this episode would have been shit unless she was great. it
Yep.
completely is her performance that sells this episode. I mean, and the magistrate guy is okay. He's better at the end. He's kind of one note. He's telling the same story again and again. And kind of I'm a slightly scared way until the end. It kind of gets more interesting. Data's good. Picard's good, but he's always good. But if this lady wasn't great, so well done for her for carrying the entire episode pretty much, and also giving us some genuine moments. This is more the editing and the writing, but again, I referred to when she's beamed away, then is back on the ship. Like that moment is genuinely, wait, how? Because the way you've seen her technology, that's not a thing she can just do. So that's and she doesn't have she has to think about, it's all about the eye movements. Like in between her beaming and being beamed, she has to activate a thing. Like it's very, very intricate what she's done there. So there is a genuine sense of magic to it, because it's always good. You think of these great magicians, they always leave a few tricks you don't know how they did. Even though they're magic, they are so wait, what, how? Even most of the tricks you understand how. There's a couple that's like, oh, that is really, really impressive actually.
And the transporting people, like Picard, the other guy, the ensign.
Yep.
Are they stored in his pattern buffer?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Because they wouldn't remember what happened to them necessarily, because then you'd ruin it, right? So
yeah, it's like, why don't you ask them, where were you, ensign? You kind of get a sense that they don't learn anything from that.
Yeah.
And I noticed how much effort they put into the main council room. I was like, oh, they're going to spend the whole episode here. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yep, they're going to do that.
Yep.
And they did, which is why it's nice. Although I think they missed a beat with having very, 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 very little representation of the actual people. If it's meant to be this important, all you get is this one guy, and he is the exact same thing in every scene. He always says the exact same thing, tweaked in every single scene. So it would have been nice to have seen a bit more of the people and their take on this, or maybe like a priests of Ardra come in and pray to her and see the other side of it, because it doesn't. They don't flesh out. They focus on the Aest of the A, which is Ardra dealing with Picard. They ignore all of the planetary event stuff after the first bit is quite important, it feels a bit weird. I never quite get a reason why those scientist guys are on there, because if this planet just has had 1,000 years of good peace, is that really worth Starfleet like building a base and having people stay there for maybe a year, just study, just people living? Like, there's not enough reason for that. I guess it's general anthropology, but they also are humanoids. There's not even any makeup. They're just humans. So,
Yeah, good point.
I had to get the people there, but they didn't quite go into that as much as they could or should have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a few things. Like I say, its focus is it's like with Q, the one with Q loses powers. It's just John Delancey episode. Nothing else matters really. It's very flat. Everything else, and then John Delancey is the star. And this one, same thing. There's bits that should have been done better, but she is so electric that you just want to watch more of her. So you don't notice it in the first watch. But that's what I thought this time. Yeah.
Dave Stelzer, $2.
Thank
A follow up on this on Lower Decks would be great.
Ooh.
It would be.
I wonder if this actress is still alive then, because I have no idea.
I don't know. An NP, when are you guys going to discuss the First Frontier fan film? We're not.
We don't tend to discuss fan films.
Yeah.
When have you known us to discuss fan films, except during Indiegogos that we support, because that's different about the ships of them. That's a little bit different. Although we are going to talk about the ships, to be fair, but not the thing itself. Just the ships.
Yeah, we don't really do fan films. So.
Just ships.
Ships.
And stations.
And stations. And technology.
Yes.
Like phasers. Yes. And tricorders. But anyway. So you're looking at to see if she's still alive, are you?
Yeah, and I'm having a... Oh, okay. There's Marta. Marta Dubios, or however else you would say that. She's 65 at the time of Memory Alpha. She's... Nope, she died in 2018. Darn.
Not great.
And doesn't look anything like Ardra in any other pictures. That makeup and hair really did affect her look. Darn. Huh. Anyway.
Well, Let's kick it off. We're in the holodeck, and we're doing a Christmas Carol. He's talking to the ghost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great because the ghost like, you don't believe in me, and it's just the perfect analogy for the rest of the episode. But you never really think about it. You never really think about this opening part in relation to the rest of it. But I think it's well acted. He does a good job as Ebenezer Scrooge, and the set decoration is amazing. So yeah, good job. And then he goes on to talk about method acting, and Patrick Stewart's like, well, I don't know much about that. It's like, really? Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and also the ghost effect is well done. Like it's
really good.
It's a good, like if they had done this for the time as a TV movie with this effect, you'd be like, yep, that's a good ghost effect.
Yes.
It definitely shows a weird side of like he's teaching Data to act, which is in essence just talking a script that he's memorized, and since he memorized everything, he's watching Data just recite words he knows with a non-acting computer program acting, and he's judging him. And that's what they do in their spare time to relax. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's not the first time they've done it, obviously, but it's interesting. That's a common theme. Like, I just want to watch the guy that can memorize everything learn how to act, sort of. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, Brent obviously loves these things because he gives it his all, and you see the range of Brent. Even though it's a silly performance, it's meant to be like it's in context. He's done obviously a massive range. Like as Sherlock Holmes, he puts it much more like a straight category. Although I think this isn't as direct a parallel to the later one as possible. Like, this is trying to be, look, it's like Ardra. But in this situation, the ghost is real, so... And seeing it is real, so it's like, well, it's not a good parallel.
It's the explanation of, like, your senses can deceive you. You know, you could be a bit of indigested, underdone potato and things like that. Your senses can't always be believed. So, yeah, I get where they're going with it, but yeah. But
in this case, they are real. So you should believe your senses because the ghost. Like if it should have had a turn where Data says to the ghost, "But what if you're not real and I can detect you with a ghost busting tool?" Zip, 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 zip. Hey,
proton
pack, exactly. Like if Data had then stopped and turned to Picard, said, I don't quite understand this. I know he's not a ghost. Ghosts aren't real. No, Mr. Data, you've got to, that would have, I think, played the metaphor better. He's just playing the scene without really using it to its fullest. Then again, that would mean changing the point of changing the scene. So. It works, but also you don't want to be literally hit you on the head with, look, it's like Ardra later. Don't believe it, Data. So,
Two Stooges on a holodeck says, is Ardra immortal or did she just steal the contract? I missed that part. She's not immortal at all. She's just a regular con artist. She just learned about the contract and I guess studied it and read it.
She just happened to find this planet, happened to break into their secret catacombs. In essence, stole the thing, read the thing.
I'm sure there's other copies of it. But
yeah, that's a bit of a weird part of the story, but that's okay. And guys, super chat your thoughts and comments. We'd love to hear what you think about this episode because it's definitely one of the better mediums, if you know what I mean. Like, it does a good job.
And hit like. We have 69 people here with 44 likes. Let's get those likes up above 50 at least. That'd be great.
And again, credit to them. When they walk out the holodeck, they've now got the lighting so perfect on this bit of extra set. Because in the olden days, season 1 and 2, you could see it was this is the little bit of the corridor with the actual the set. But now, I mean, lighting's because once you do that, and then you can cut between the warm hues of each set version, then it's effortless because it's not the same set piece unless they were able to build it just in the room. Because, I mean, there is a holodeck room, to be fair, that I guess they could say, okay, this set will fit into the set. So they might have been able to put this literally in the holodeck set. Well, it's quite a lot to redress considering. Oh, yeah, credit to them. Snow out the window. Lovely subtle touch, but nice and effective.
Mm-hmm.
And double subtle touch, as they walk by, or actually, 3 subtle touches. One, as Data is talking to thing in this bit I've got on the screen, the hat bobbles with him constantly.
The tassel.
And it's wonderfully distracting, but it's like in a good way. It's just like, yep. The tassel. Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it? Good. And then as they walk through the corridor, it's lovely walk and talk. And everyone's oblivious. And most of the people ignore what Data looks like. Because, it's Data, it's fine. But there's one girl in blue. She walks in, it's just like...
The smile on her face. Like, yeah, you guys are... Yeah.
Like, she doesn't realise she's being shot as the extra. Because no one else cares. She's like, hey, this is you guys look good, and it's so like almost flirty, and she's so like her eyes are so blank, and even the next lady who Picard, because obviously he doesn't realize someone's behind him, so he like, interrupts this random Asian lady, and she's like, oh, keep going, but she's like on her preset course, she's like wait for the star, and then move. And it's just like it's a fun. There's some natural moments there that weren't intentional, which I like.
That's what I liked because I mean, a lot of times everything is so perfect in TV shows. Like nobody stumbles over words and whatever. In real life, that never happens. In real life, you mess up what you're saying. You bump into people. You turn around in a grocery store, or you stop and there's somebody right behind you. Never happens on TV because everything's so staged. Oh, cut! You got to do that
Go
again.
to the mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this could be the 8th take, so obviously you're not gonna have the same fun reaction 8 times. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I really appreciate little moments like that.
Yeah, and just that one, I just really like that lady's look. She's just like she's a fan of Star Trek. She's having fun right now. Because it is silly. Like, it is silly. Look at Brent. It is silly.
It is. But they get a call from Ventax 2. It's an emergency call. Signal was interrupted. So, anyway, they get a very bad, garbled transmission. So the Howard Clark is the doctor, director of the science station. And they can't improve the reception because it's actually at the source this is happening. People are trying to get into the science station.
Help us.
Well, he says we're under attack. There's a mob outside the door. It's like, oh, okay. It's not too bad then.
Well, they never quite go into exactly why these guys are targeted. It's more just the world is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And so therefore we'll take hostage. Like who's taking hostages? Like, so when you watch it the first time, you get the sense it's the guy who's calling them, as in the political guy. The way he's kind of like a little bit edgy. He's like, you know, I'm the guy who took hostages. No, it's just some people.
Yeah.
Don't know. It's just Dean. You know Dean from the farm. He just didn't like him. He just took hostages. You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, especially that society hasn't got weapons or ships or anything.
Well, now that you
special.
said that, yeah, I mean they mentioned looting, rioting, fires, and yeah, why would they take these scientists hostage? I don't understand.
Especially as the main political guy is also so into the Ardra myth, like he's right there with them. Yeah, and he's like, I'll try and get them released, implying that they haven't actually contacted him with demands. So there's not really much point to that.
Well, the one thing I like too is when they actually break in. Picard's like, "Can you beam up the team?" Yep. No, I only have lock on the one guy we were talking to, which I like.
Yeah,
they can't just beam out all their people, so they beam him out, which I think is a nice touch actually, because the room all of a sudden got like flooded with people.
It's a nice limitation, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. And it keeps the stakes raised, but also lets us talk to the guy, so it's well done. But yeah, they beam him up. And we get our exposition scene. And also we get our cup holders.
Yes.
Which I've never noticed before, because I've got one of those cups, but not the cup holder.
It's a coaster as well.
It is. It's actually kind of cute. And it's fun to see Picard have to hold both to drink. Yeah. It's just like...
Plus we got a close-up shot of Livingston, his fish.
Yes. The star of the show.
But we find out they're actually... where is it here? They achieved an advanced scientific level, but then turned their back on technology long ago for a simpler existence. And the first contact, ironically, was made by a Klingon expedition 70 years ago. And the Klingons 70 years ago, so just like 10 years after, you know, TOS or the movies. Anyway, they didn't kill them all, which is great.
Yeah, it was a nice touch, because it's just like, yeah, they aren't just murderers. It's all good, you know.
Yeah. And Fleet Paw puts in $2, 50 likes, awesome, again at 100. Thank you guys for the 50. If you can hit like if you haven't already, please do so. But yeah. Anyway, there's been no problem on the planet until just recently, several years ago. The head of state began to be very obsessed with this Ardra myth and started talking about it and becoming more anxious as time went on. And you know.
And I was expecting there to be more of a sense of he's been corrupted by her, she's been seeing him for ages. But the fact that she
Yeah.
comes today, I know there's been visions, but you don't get the sense they were over years. So I'm thinking basically this thing was running fine, and some guy goes to the main political guy and says, Don,
It's 1,000 years.
have
Yeah.
you seen that in like a year and a half we're gonna be demon enslaved? What? Yeah, read
Yeah.
this. Oh shit, I forgot about this. Oh no. And then he just,
Yeah.
he became obsessed with it. But there's no quite correlation. It would have been nice if it was more of a sense of shit. Because I doubt, despite her obvious amount of prep, I don't get the sense she's patient enough to have spent like 3 years slowly
No.
building it up.
I think it would have been like the last week. She's been just showing up to random people, kind of for the visions, you know.
I get the sense she probably found them like 2 months ago or
Yep.
maybe a year ago, and then said, "Well, I can't do anything for like 8 months, so I'll just research, get the tech ready, get there, and then
Practice.
yeah,
Like a magician, practice makes perfect.
absolutely." So I'm not sure what the connection is, and given if there was no catalyst, then that's a society start. But I mean, if it's that inbuilt that on this due day, a society will collapse. I can understand some people being fanatics, but you never get a sense this culture is religiously fanatical, and they don't even go into that. Say this society turned back into a theocracy. Like you never get that, which is an interesting line they don't cross. It's more just a case of shit, our numbers are basically up. Oh,
Yeah.
So it's a weird situation. But I mean it is a weird situation, so that's fine.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Well, then they get news that his people have been taken hostage, so they go out and they talk to the leader, and he's like, "I'm sorry, man. I abhor violence, but we're kind of in this pickle."
Yeah.
And then they talk about how all the signs are there, like the quakes, and Picard's like, "Oh, just bad timing then, okay." And then they talk about the visions and stuff like that, all the stuff that would lead up to this.
Mhm.
And again, it's played out very well. Like I
Mhm.
really like the way it's done.
So it could mean anything at this point.
Yeah, and he even says she even appeared to myself. So
yeah, but he doesn't play it fanatically either. He's very matter of fact. He's clearly a good politician. It's like, well, okay, I'm doing a job. And don't you like how those guys, to me, in the background, clearly feel like Klingon-inspired uniforms, like TOS Klingon, as if the Klingon guys that came to saw them were still wearing their old garb, and they were like, yeah, we like that stuff.
Yeah.
And his uniform reminds me of the Relativity, but I quite like their uniforms. And does he just look like the guy from that celebrity, the actor who's in Spy Kids?
George Lopez.
I don't know.
He's the bad guy. I'm
Yeah,
not
the
sure who
bad
you're
guy.
talking about.
No, Alan Cummings.
Okay.
What name did you say? Sorry.
George Lopez, or is he in? He might be in Shark Girl and Lava Boy. I don't fucking know. Anyway.
I vaguely recognize him.
Anyway, Eugene throws in 500 rubles.
Shark Girl. Yeah, hold on.
Amazing episode and amazing acting. Some aspects wouldn't fly today, especially the reverse situation with Q, Janeway. But I would blame the today, not the episode. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, then we get the conference room scene. And they talk about the 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, and then how the deal was made for the 1,000 years. The price would be her enslaving the entire population upon her return.
I mean, they do kind of reiterate the situation a few too many times.
Yes.
But it's always with a bit more information, to be fair. But we definitely don't need this as many times, especially from the main political guy. Because we know the scene, so it's fine. And then we get some map paintings that are half well done.
Picard decides he's going down. And they're like, "Are you sure that's safe? Because you might be taken hostage." He's like, "Well, Mr. Worf, I'm bringing you and Data. Counselor, you're coming too." So I mean, I love how Worf points out it could be dangerous, and he's like, "Okay, well, you and Data can come down." So it's good.
You haven't even got a base to go to because it got ransacked.
Yeah.
Then he gets some both good and bad map painting. Like you can sense they just filmed a real bridge and filmed a real street, because this is not Green. the way the shadows are, this isn't green screen. There's a real bridge and a real street, and they put matte paintings over it, or it's literally an over and underpass in a city, and they matte painting between it. But I mean, for its time, I appreciate the effort. Doesn't really hold up aesthetically, but I appreciate the effort. Although since we see the same shot every single time, you never get a sense of escalating damage. It's just like, okay, there's some. I mean, yeah, doesn't quite work. Unlike, we see Kronos or, those ones. It's just like, oh, but
Yeah. So there's nothing really to worry about. The quakes are no big deal, whatever. And then like, no, she's here. And all of a sudden, whoop, she comes in. I love how she just totally ignores Picard and them for the first little bit. But basically says, stop with all the old ancient talks, these, thous, the most powerful ones. It gets boring after a few centuries. And stop cowering. When I want you on your knees, I'll let you know. Then she turns to Picard and goes, much better. And she's pretty ballsy. If she's just a charlatan, she knows about the Federation. She's claiming now that she owns the Federation flagship,
that's
or
that's
Federation
quite a few scenes
ship.
later, but yeah.
Well, I know. I'm just saying. Unless she doesn't know who the Federation are, which I highly doubt, considering she's got 23 aliases in just this one sector,
I mean, either way, it doesn't matter, because she has to know these things because she is an immortal being. So she plays it. I think you could read it as either she has no idea, she's just playing, confidence is key, or she does know and she's underplaying it, which is an interesting thing to be able to give both. But Dave Elder saying, late to the party, first live coordinate 2 weeks. Oh, Dave! And
hey,
Dave,
man.
Feklar is up and coming. So, hey, Dave, good to see you again. Welcome.
And I also love the line where she's like, and who would you be? I'm Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise. Keep up the good work. And then walks away from him. It's like, what? That was just so good.
I mean, honestly, the lines they gave her are so unusual that it keeps the audience on the toes of like, so what is she going to do? And you never quite know, and she does keep, Because I think the thing I like most about her performance is that she isn't, and even Q does this, she doesn't come in ruling with the iron fist of being, the devil. You'd associate with pain, despair, torment. She comes in like a pretty nice-ish lady, not overly domineering, more just like, oh yeah, I own you, cool, let's move on. Like, the deal's done, guys, moving forward, which is how the perspective would be if you've lived 1,000 years, etc. But she never does, don't do this or I'll burn you. She's, because she knows, obviously, she's not getting the real power, except the generic sense of the sci-fi power. And so she's playing it very, very, very cleverly, and well underselling it. She's trying to be she's trying to be like the Dominion in DS9. They with Bajor. It's like, well, we could eradicate half the population to show we're strong, or be friends to them and actually make friends. Let's do the latter. So it's not what you expect, and the devil. She never plays the devil once, and I'm quite impressed by that. They don't go that obvious route.
Yeah.
Because you can tell that this top-tish politician guy never doesn't like her.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, of course you are. So it's just a really interestingly played scene, and definitely they had a smart idea and they went for it.
And Picard just confronts her and says, who are you? And she's like, I am Mendora in the Barusian cluster, Torak to the Delorians, and the Klingons call me Feklar.
Yes.
You are not Feklar. And then we get Feklar.
That's a great evil Klingon. I mean, it's more. That's the most Discovery Klingon we've ever got, except with hair.
That's fantastic, yeah.
But it's so easily a Klingon as well. I mean, good job for them for making a Klingon proto-beast monster. That's great. Yeah. Beautiful.
So the Guardian of Greythor and where the Dishonored go when they die.
And also, all credit to them for their teleportation effect is extremely effective.
Yeah, it's really great.
Because it's not the Q, but it is quick and it is stylistic and it has a good sound effect. And the fact that it can be, on the other hand, it can be so multifaceted. Good job then.
Yeah. And Picard, I love Picard's line too. I've encountered many who are more credible to be called the devil than you.
Sure.
And she's like, the devil. Ooh, now there's one I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's played really smooth and really casually, and there's no sense of like her being intimidated by them being there or anything. It's actually played so well that if she is just she is just a con artist, but she's got the routine down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not worried about anything.
Nope. But she can't portray that. And that's the thing. She's playing exactly as you would need. But she's also not chewing the scenery. She's not playing that, campy villain. Once you know she's a con artist, you can see it exactly in her. If you go back for 5 minutes, say, "Oh, I buy it. Oh, I see what she's doing." So it's a good performance. But also, you can imagine being the devil, just a nice devil. But also the fact that it's a devil from multiple planets, implying obviously it's the universal galaxy celestial devil.
It is the devil,
which is big claim.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of good scenes. Then we get to see the sacred scrolls and it says, "And can I take these and read them?" And the head of the government's like, "Yeah, it's not up to me anymore. She's now the head of the planet." And he's like, "Okay, can I take her?" She's like, "Yeah, of course, it's fine." Like, she's so polite, considering the amount of leniency. She's like, again, she's just so polite and nice about this stuff.
And then she finds out about the hostages, and she's like, "Hostages, let them go." It's like, yes, sure, okay.
Yeah, because he's like, "Well, I'm only here for the hostages." "Oh yeah, let them free." It's because she's like, "Yeah, no bit players in this." That's what she says.
Yeah.
Which is great. Again, totally not what you expect. This episode absolutely keeps you on the corner of your, "Oh, okay." Mm-hmm. Even on a second viewing, you kind of forget some of the little in betweens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
But they beam back up, except for Data. He tells him to stay there and read everything. He wants to know everything there is about it. Yeah. And Data was probably done like 2 minutes later. "I'm done. Hello." Yeah. But then back on the ship, they have a conversation. Could this be another member of the Q, or could it in fact be Q? And it's like, nah, he wouldn't care. Wouldn't worry about contracts or economic forecasts. And Picard's like, "Ooh, I noticed that too, counselor." And then he gets the whole comparison to a flim flam artist, and talk about the powers a little bit, how transporters can make things disappear and all that. So I really love the whole, he's already on top of the situation and just does not at all believe any little aspect of it. So I think it's great.
Yeah, it's very logical. It's very logical and neat. Yeah, it's good. I mean, but there should have been one more scene where they might believe her, because she's been so credible so far. Like I said with the TOS stuff, but that's not, because since we have seen, I mean, they say she's not Q, but the fact that we have seen Q, who can literally do anything, means that a being that can literally do anything has already existed flawlessly. So it would have been nice if they'd had like a Q, because Qs can do whatever they want, so you can't judge them by what our Q does. It would have been nice if they had like a Q test, something. I don't know what,
Yeah.
like one more scene, because Picard is so ready.
Yeah, they do jump to just the technological flim-flam artist thing very, very quickly, whereas they've seen a lot of powerful entities, and we've heard about them in TOS even, like the Metrons and...
Like, obviously not as the devil, but as a powerful being that is so powerful. Like, we never got this with Q. Like they have this waste time in that episode saying, Where's your technology, Q? What? It's all a trick, isn't it, Q? He's like, "No." I can change time. Okay, now, you never get that because it's not important to the story. But it's okay.
Well, Picard here says do a scan for anything large enough to generate the power that would be needed for that.
Yeah. But speaking of large enough power, her legs, and this is again one of those scenes where you don't expect this, because this sets a precedent of, she beamed through their full shields. Ooh, okay.
And she looks damn good, and she looks good in that captain's chair. Just saying.
So comfortable. That woman is owning the scene and the scenery.
And she's like, come sit with me. I'd be like, okay, yes, absolutely. But he's like, "I'll get you out of here by force. I'd like to see you try, Mr. Worf." And that's not what you wanted. She even says that later. I wish you would have tried yourself.
Yes. I wanted you to touch me, Picard. I would let you.
Yeah.
Although I do think it's super lackluster how she forces him away. But then again, it's just a force field that she's projected inside the ship. It's really, it's a real basic bitch thing. But it's not
Yeah.
like massive. It's just a little effect of bloom. Like it would have been better if she had done like vroomf, like a physical manifestation of her power rather than just zoom. Not
Yeah.
quite as powerful.
And the best part here is, for me, is when she comes up and starts like holding Picard's hand and like flirting with him. Crusher's right behind him, looking at them like, what's this going on here?
You
She's
moved on
got that
already?
like, yeah.
No, you're
Oh, then
right.
they,
That's good like that.
yeah. I mean, it's awesome. And then they beam her away, and
Which
then
is easy. It's effortless. Just do it. Boom. No problem with getting a signal, which I was expecting. Done.
so he tells the ensign to raise the shields, and she looks fantastic in that
She does.
uniform.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Stuart, did you have a crush on Ardra when you were a kid? Is that what we're adding to this? It was Christmas Carol, it was Space Aliens, and Ardra in your pants.
Yes.
Okay.
She's very sultry and sexy and seductive in this, and it's just the way she moves, the way she talks, the confidence. Like, sultry is the word that comes to mind.
But it's not even like she's that domineering. It's a beautiful balance. It's a weirdly good balance.
Yeah, even how she said, I don't like I like my men forceful, at least at first.
Yeah. But this edit here with the ensign is absolutely spectacular. It's the moment of ooh, because that's a sleight of hand magic trick. Because every other time she's done the thing, you hear a shoo. Clearly there wasn't. So what the hell was this? I'm assuming it's a holographic trick, but then he's also confused. Like it's such an unknown element here, but it's so effective. Because she's obviously not in a real uniform; she's in a holographic uniform. But you know what I mean?
It's a nice holographic uniform.
And only an ensign. She didn't queue it up. Wasn't a fleet admiral. But it's such a beautiful moment of whatever. I just absolutely love it. And the fact that she's so calm and standing there. Again, Q would be in control of the room. She's not. She's in control of herself. And she is in control of the room, but not in an active, like, I'm going to do this, this, and this way. She lets Dead speak. She lets the crew be. She's just there. She doesn't need to show her strength. She's obviously in control. Again, beautiful direction.
Mm-hmm. And then Data comes in and says, yep, everything's legit with the contracts. And she's like, well, that was fast for a human. Well, I'm an android.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what an unexpected bonus.
Yes.
Bonus? Well, yeah, because you're in orbit of the planet, you're now my property too.
Mm-hmm.
And Data's like, well, it could be interpreted that way. So, yeah. Again, pretty ballsy to claim a Federation starship and its whole crew as, like, how long are you going to play that off? And even later when she says, when Picard says he'll be the prize or whatever, and she's like, I want you to give yourself to me, of your own free will. How long is that going to play out before he figures things out? Like, it's not going to work very well. But whatever. It's interesting for the plot of this anyway. Just practically, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Doesn't the guy when he comes back look like he's high or on drugs?
Yeah, it looks like he just woke up like, oh, what? Yeah.
Yeah, very, very odd. Then you get a scene where it's the joke is that they're using words out of time, and they're awkwardly saying them. I don't think it quite works as well as other scenes have worked. For whatever reason, they don't play it as comfortable. Although who did they mention? They mentioned the Greatest Showman guy, and he's like, yes,
P.T. Barnum,
which I got this time for the first time because I've seen the movie now. But yeah, quite a long scene. Good scene. Con men. I'm absolutely convinced she's a con man, despite having no specific evidence. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Phil says, go research everything, all the legal matters of the last 1,000 years. I'm thinking, he's thinking like, oh my god, are you kidding? You're gonna go sleep now, and I'm gonna have to research all of the legal for 1,000 years in a society that has actively said no to technology. How is that gonna all be recorded? Like, you're assuming they kept good digital records even though they've moved away from that.
Yeah. But then we get Picard in his quarters, and his book gets a little excited. Kind of a visual representation of. Anyway, she shows up, and I love what she's wearing. I just wish that was more see-through than it is. If you know what I mean. If you know what I mean.
Super chat if you know what
But,
Stuart means. He wants to
because
see
later
their
you
shins.
you see her from the side, and you see the waist and everything, and it looks like there's skin underneath, but it's missing something. You know, I'm not going to say what, but you guys get it.
So she's probably wearing a skin-colored bra, isn't she?
Yeah.
Although this first view, all I can see is Sigourney Weaver from Ghostbusters.
That's what I was thinking.
Like it's almost identical.
Yeah.
Like it's weirdly, even contextually, it's pretty close. I wonder when this one came out and compared, because this is. I wouldn't be surprised if they use this as reference. They thought, oh well, you know, it's really close.
Well, while you're looking that up, she arranged for some privacy. So the intruder alert doesn't work. He can't open the door. He can't communicate with the bridge. I might be a bad captain, but I'd be taking advantage of the situation. Just saying.
How, Stuart? What are you implying?
I'm just saying I'd sit down and have a conversation with her, make her some tea.
Earl Grey?
Wow. Maybe something a little more. I don't know. Yes, Earl Grey. We'll go with that.
And this was 6 years after Ghostbusters, so
Yeah.
I feel like they pulled from there.
And Matthew K puts in $5.
Thanks.
I think when it came to taking the ship, her eyes were bigger than her stomach. All she knew is, I want. Yeah.
But again, and you said earlier, it's not clear if she knows what the Federation is. Because she plays it so chill. Because this is the flagship, and if she's that, you know, this is the biggest find of her career. If they, for some reason, let her have it. Like, it's a weird, to even assume this would be okay is a bizarre thing.
Yeah. I'm Captain Picard of the Starship Enterprise. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. But you can imagine, like, I mean, this is it's a genuine legal contract on this planet. Fine. That's absolutely fine. But do you really think the Federation will let their flagship, because they happen to be in orbit literally this day? I mean, I think there are some, you know, intergalactic rules they're not going to bother with. It's like, yeah, you guys don't own this ship. It took us 4 years to build it, 10 years to design it. It's fought the Borg. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know? So, yeah.
Ryan K. Next time someone asks if you're a god, you say yes. Fleet Pass Swiftback, $2. Boobs. Yeah. And SWTX Chaser, $5. Lower Decks episode idea. Boimler has to scan 1,000 years of legal documents for second contact. Ooh, yeah.
That'd be fun. But then you get... Hey, it's the ceremonial dagger. But then you get her swapping into about boobs. The anti-boob, on purpose. She becomes a Victorian lady. Which is another interesting thing, because that implies that she can read his brain. Because that's explicitly legit. Like, even the Nexus... Even in 24th century, they're wearing Victorian clothes. So that again, like, provides sense that the technology there, or is she really a god, is an interesting little twist there. I kind of wish they went more further with that in some other way, or wouldn't it have been great, rather than Troy, if it had been, and this is kind of dark, if it had either been the lady from season 1 in Paris, the nice version, or if it had been his brother's wife. Because they kind of had a flirty thing. Yeah. Like, for one scene, she was brought back after 2 years. That would have been like... I don't remember her, but yeah. I
expected it, even on this viewing, to be Beverly. Like, it was just kind of an odd choice. Because she even says someone in uniform. Well, that's not really a uniform, as we... But anyway,
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
And did you see the ceremonial Klingon dagger on the thing? I never noticed that before till this viewing.
Yeah, they obviously have, like, a box of the Picard quarters props, and then they put them back in, and they obviously but no, I agree, but this is one of those things where if she'd really known his brain, it would have been Beverly, but this is Ardra saying, well, Troy is younger and prettier, I'll be Troy. That's where she obviously isn't all-knowing, because you're right. So it's interesting the way they play it. Well, I kind of wish that they'd seen one step further, because they could have made it even more creepy in a good way.
How so?
Have Picard, like, lead into it for a second to see if he could trick her into revealing something, and then, you know, I don't know, something, or she goes into someone else, like, into another body, maybe, like, becomes Riker, or becomes you know, you're into aliens, you know, or Vash. I mean, you could have taken it one step further. almost tempt him, or like an ex-lover, an ex-girlfriend, or something. But then you get one of the
Tasha.
fun.
Tasha back for one scene.
Every time we bring Tasha back. Because to be fair, Stuart, there was that scene where she's flirting with him super heavily. And he sort of flirts back, and it's really uncomfortable.
Well, I love the line she says here, though. I could give you a knight that would light fire in your dreams until you die, and you would reject me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And it's funny, if, again, with the framing, I mentioned this on The Wounded, but the framing here, it's him and her, space, and a book. And in the book, it looks like it's got a angel and a demon.
Where are we looking here? Sorry, where in the scene is this?
Where they're standing face to face.
Yes. The end, yeah.
It's like the book's going to be, or the contract is going to be the solution to the problem, and it's kind of like, again, framed really nicely.
Not the knife
thing. Then again, I could be looking too much into it.
Right, though. It's a good little moment. But what is a great moment, though, he gets beamed in basically his underwear, his really, really silly little get-up that's been silly so many times. There's clearly wearing nothing under it, you know. And I like, Geordie's just like, Captain, we weren't expecting you. The super polite way of saying, oh, this wasn't meant to happen. Because of course, he's not, this is deliberate, Geordie.
He responds right away. I wasn't expecting it either, so.
Yeah.
James McGill, $2, wondered what Lord Dex would do in this episode.
Yep. I would love to see that. Yeah, give us the exact same episode again. It'd be really fun. And this is a great little scene because it puts Patrick out of his comfort zone, but very much like season 1 Picard. But he plays it more professionally, if that makes sense. Like, he knows his crew. And it's that situation where, you know, if you've got a massive zit on your face, sort of own it and then move on. He's like, yes, I'm here, Lieutenant, moving on, you know.
Worse, like, huh? The captain's down. I'd have no... What? And Picard's like, yeah, it's all right. Beam me back up. Transporters aren't working. All right, fine. Send Data down in a shuttle and bring a uniform. A uniform? Yes.
That is funny, though. She's stopping them from beaming because it's like, haha. You've got to walk to you got to walk to this shuttle. You got to walk through the.
Why didn't she make him naked when she beamed him? Like, seriously. Too much for TV. That's. I
mean, it's a power play, not a penis play. You know. Although I do wish at this point they said they beam through our shields, because they never mentioned that, even though that surely is massive. I know they just did it last week. Technically, they beam through shields, but like, either they do have shields on because they don't want her to beam, or they don't and they're letting her beam. Either way, it says something about the episode.
Yeah.
Or was never mentioned.
Well, some sort of interference preventing beaming. Area 51, $2.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd take a night of fiery dreams. I think a lot of people would.
Yeah.
Try, you know.
But we get the shuttle pod. Actually, some nice miniature work. We don't often see this thing do interesting things, and the way it's lit and stuff is nice. I like the reflection in the window. I think it's a CGI ad on top, but it's well done. Beautiful miniature as it comes in. Really, really nice look. I even like the fade. But just the way that ship looks is absolutely incredible coming in. And that doesn't look like a miniature. Beautiful.
No, it looks fantastic. But on board, they're having a conversation about how the only time an alien was involved in one of their legal proceedings, it was a contract dispute involving a Klingon craftsman. And basically, they brought in an arbitrator through the courts. So,
2 fun comments.
Side of things that he needed. But yeah.
2 fun comments. Though.
And then the Enterprise just disappears.
It does. Area 51, Worf. Damn, I suck at my job. And Jason says, wouldn't the computer detect all that's happening in the captain's quarters? No, because she's blocking it. Because she's advanced. Yeah, disappears. And this is a great little turn for the episode, because you don't realize this, but there's only 2 people he now has. Like, you're only a good captain if you have a crew to captain. And you kind of realize that in a minute. It's just like, I have 2 crew to give orders to. Do I have to do something myself now? Yes, I do. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a great way of like really condensing it, and you get a real sense of, oh, oops, that's it. There's all of our characters left. The guy he saved and his 2 crew. Luckily, incredibly talented people, but I like the tone of that.
Yeah.
And thank God this base isn't more banged up when they, ransacked it and destroyed. It's fine now. Great.
Anyway, the Enterprise is not within 1 light year of the planet. At least it can't be detected. So yeah, they keep hailing them. They're trying to hail them. Nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And but Geordi noticed a sudden jump in Z particle readings when it disappeared. So it was too brief to pinpoint where it came from, but it suggests a hidden power source. So we just need to get her to do more tricks, and we'll be able to lock it down.
Sure. There's 2 parts of the scene I like. One like, one dislike. I don't like Picard. He often gives orders that are stupid. Keep trying to hail them. It's like, I mean, A, of course I will. It's on repeat. Like, there's a button for that. And B, what a redundant order. I know he feels like he has to give orders, but keep doing what you're doing and do it more. And eventually it'll work, right? No? Okay, we'll do it anyway.
Faster and more intense. Faster and more intense.
But that just feels stupid, but I get he's like, he can only do so much. But I love they explicitly say, these Z particles, the decay rate is so quick it can't detect them, which is such a beautiful thing that they worked out a technology that you can't trace because it's so efficient. That's great. I love that. It's a small detail. I love that.
Mm-hmm. But then Ardra shows up, of
New
course.
Outfit. Very professional looking outfit.
Oh, yes. And she says, well, you must have more respect for me now. Look what I've done. Then, of course, he's just in her face saying, you know what? I don't recognize your claim on the Enterprise, and I call for an arbitration. Which, fine. Data kind of looks a little shocked that he's doing it now. But anyway, they basically decide they need... Which is great. What happened?
He dies. Heading.
Oh, she picks Data, which is great. Because they need an arbiter.
But not
basically
decision.
Yes. And if you win, or Picard says, if you win, I'll take you to the ruins of the Gelium for the Zadarel Emerald. It's like, what? Trying to trick her.
It's the most random thing ever. I was waiting for her to say, oh, I know where that is. It's Cesta 6. And he's like, okay then, because if she's the devil, she knows everything. What a stupid comment. This thing you don't know about because you're not immortal. But I like her retort. I've already got enough jewelry. Yeah, doesn't matter. Felt like that. It's a good retort.
Yep. But she wants to pick her own prize, and if she wins, she wants Picard. By all rights, your body's already mine, but I want you heart and soul. I want you to basically be mine without any resistance, because resistance is futile.
Wow. You should have had flashbacks to the Borg there. Would have my heart and soul.
I did. When she said that about resistance, I'm like, Borg.
I just thought her subtext is, Picard, I want to have you. And you'll let me. Mm-hmm. And then I'll peg you too.
Wow. With many, many things. Anyway, she picks Data because he's incapable of deceit or biased. And Data's like, well, can I talk to Picard before we... Yeah.
And she's so polite.
Yes.
Like, she should say, no, / I know what you're saying anyway because I'm omnipotent. But she's real polite. I love her for that. She's great. She's not worried.
Data says you should probably say no because, I'm going to perform my duties without bias or sentiment. So you could be kind of screwed. But anyway, Picard's like, who else can we find that can be an arbiter that won't be, intimidated by her? So he makes a good point as well.
That's a great line. Yeah. I love Data's like, sir, you're great, but you might not be great enough. No offense, you might lose this, and I might make you lose. But that tells him about Data that he knows a whole world's at stake. His entire crew, his best friend Geordi, but in this situation, he's so obligated by everything he is to be truthful
Yeah.
I gotta imagine there's a little bit of bias. You get a little bit of sense near the end of the proceeding. He gives a little bit more to the Picard case.
Yeah.
You can't imagine he wouldn't. A little bit of bias, but it's a interesting played set of scenes.
And Devo77X says those earrings. Yeah, those earrings always bothered me, even as a kid, because they look uncomfortable. Like every time you move your head, they'd be poking your neck, and
Yeah, but that's just girls, though. I mean, they deal with this stuff. Although her earrings are always very elaborate, and they're great.
Yes. Yeah.
Just part of her. Woo.
And speaking of elaborate, the chairs in this scene, I always think I see these chairs in multiple different productions, and every time I see them, I'm like, it's the Ardra chairs. Every time, because this is like the first time, and they stand out. They're so recognizable. And they use them so often in other stuff.
Yeah, I think on Stargate too. Pretty sure.
Probably.
And so in this scene, we get quite a lot of tribunals in TNG. You only sort of realize at this point we get quite a few. I wish this guy didn't say the same lines again and again so much. He gets, like I say, this is where it gets better.
Yeah,
but you could have skipped the first scene.
This part's better because they go into more detail of what the planet was like. It was polluted and just crappy. And
although clearly an allegory for the world, it's thinly veiled, although the correctly level of veiled for Star Trek. It's not like
social commentary.
Yeah, so it's on to Picard and he turns, and that was really badly polluted. Like that's what Discovery would do. Or Doctor Who did do. Literally, Doctor Who, I don't know if you've seen that one, where she literally talks to the camera about pollution at the end for 2.5 minutes. And it's like, literally.
Oh, wow.
That's the one where it's one of the worst 5 reviews of ever, Doctor Who ever. And Chibnall's got 3 of the worst 10 reviewed Doctor Who episodes ever. And that's the worst.
I haven't seen any with her, so.
Yeah, well, she has like 2 okay ones. Her track record's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's just the writing, Stuart. It's just the writing. It's shit.
Anyway, so they go on to talk about it, and how do you know that I'm Ardra? Because the text says, there'd be quakes and this and that, and this would be the day, and I submit that you've established my identity as stated in the contract.
And it's interesting because Data isn't using his own personal judgmentary criteria. He's using the legal of this planet. And so that's what he says. By the legal rules of this planet, that argument is valid. Which is an interesting argument because those are the criteria the creature set up, and she has matched them. The problem is, if you write a prophecy and then fulfill it yourself, well, if you knew about the prophecy ahead of time, you can fulfill it because you already know about it. There's nothing magic there,
Well, my question is, how many conspiracies are on this planet? If this is their tribunal, you've got the opposing sides, a witness, and a judge. There's no court. There's no people that can see what the proceedings. Maybe it's televised. I don't know, but it just seems kind of sketchy that there's just this many people. I wish there was like a small group of people observing. Yeah,
this part of the episode, it's about our people, but it really need to have a sense of the culture. Yeah. Really need to have something because it is very, and also given Data just sitting in that little chair. It feels very much like a TV episode, court drama, rather than any sort of real drama.
Yeah.
Again, this is more of you don't notice it during, but you notice it after. And that's okay, it could have been better. It should have been better, but it's so focused, and we get so much good Picard and Ardra. And what's nice is that she has genuine points. But that's the thing, though. She's walked into this situation with this people having the entire con planned. So this was absolutely... She's reciting a script almost, a script with only so many pages, but she's absolutely prepared for this, and it does feel like it. That's why Picard's on the lower side of this conversation, because he's trying to appeal, and therefore she can't be this, and Claire's like, you haven't actually said anything new, sir. Try better, because you're failing miserably.
Well, she points out here too. Since I showed up, you've doubted my powers. So how do you explain this? And she does the earthquakes. How do you explain this? She makes the other guy disappear.
And Data's reaction is like, could you please not have the other arm to disappear? Cool, thanks. Please.
Yeah. The advocate will refrain from making her opponent disappear.
That's great.
Or this, and then she turns into the devil.
It's good makeup. It's good interpretation. I give him that as a cool looking interpretation. Well, it's very Michael Westmore,
Picard.
Very Michael
Yeah.
Westmore.
Yeah.
My only problem with this is that it's the same 3 tricks.
Yep.
And that's obviously the hint. She has
I
a
think that's
limit.
what they're pointing out. I think that's what they're. Yeah.
So I like it, but you know what they're doing.
And then the whole "can you explain it, Picard?" Not give us time, yes or no.
Which is great.
One word answer, and that they do that a lot in these kind of situations.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely. It's a good setup to the end, which is very epic. And again, she's so confident and chill because she has this whole thing. She has the absolute legal argument wrapped up because it takes Picard unraveling the greater mystery to succeed. He was going to lose, 100%. Legally, she's done everything she can do. She's very successful in this.
And Eugene puts in 250 rubles.
Thank you.
ZO poison, aka Z particles, discovered in 1983. Indeed, has a half-life of whatever that number is per second.
Wow.
I'm so glad to see actual scientific names in Star Trek, not some technobabble.
Wow.
I mean, they tried doing that a lot though, introducing like actual scientific stuff into Trek. So
that's great. And we both scoffed over Z particles, but hey, credit to them. Well done. But 2 great comments as well. Serg says, "What does God need with a starship?" And then counters that with, "What does the devil want with a planet?"
Or a starship that's in orbit of that planet that she claims.
Great. Guys, if you can super chat, we're pretty light today. We need at least another, 100 really. But if you can help, guys, we've still got another hour-ish.
Yeah.
But we're having fun. It's a good episode. It's nice to talk about something this neat. Oh, and look at Geordie's little face of triumph.
Oh yeah.
Like we said to LeVar in person, like he is so good at selling technobabble.
Yep.
So genuine. That is a hard thing to do, and I've worked with actors for fan films that just can't. Not that they can't do an okay job, but he is just on fire with this stuff, as far as you can be.
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, I have the coordinates." And so they scan for the coordinates, but there's nothing there. And he's like, no, I'm not believing that shit again. There's a cloaking device or something going on. So that was a great scene. It's a great, we've locked it down kind of thing. Again, I want to see more of that. I want to see what's going on in the Enterprise right now. Like we're trying to contact the planet. That'd be really cool to see. But
because what's your gut reaction of how long it feels like it's been from ship go missing to now? Gut reaction.
4 hours, 3-4 hours.
Yep. I was gonna say 4 hours. Absolutely. Yeah. It's been a. I guess without Data, the Miracle Man, they've lost their best 2 science guys, and I guess no Wesley, but I mean, they've not done a great job.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So here we get Picard's talking about the history of his people. Going, did she, set up the government? Did she advise the council? Did she not pick up one piece of trash? And it's like, no, it took a long time. It took a lot of reforms. It took a lot of this and that. And so basically she did nothing. Again, I loved his approach to it. It was fantastic. And then just that without the closer, did she not pick up one piece of trash? Yeah.
The direction, the writing is beautiful, and because they go one analogy further than they had to, it helps sell even more. I kind of want him to continue because it's fun to have him be like, because the way the guy squirms, this is when his acting comes into his own. The guy's like, no.
She didn't do any of the stuff that you're asking me.
But he's still, it's weird. He's still committed to the idea because obviously this is from his father, his grandfather.
Yeah.
This is absolutely legacy. But he's also a smart guy. He knows what he's saying. But as with a god, since you can't really factor in the physicalness of it, you could justify, well, yeah, she infused the hearts and minds of the people into peace. But there's no... the breaking it down is absolutely glorious. Because I think we all thought that going into the episode. Like, as soon as they say 1,000 years of peace, you're like, how? Instantly. Well... That's what you think. Yeah. I thought the opposite. I thought, well, no, clearly none. But the breakdown here is what I was thinking the entire episode. And it's so fun. And you absolutely... The way that Ardra is you can see her nervousness on her face. It's so palpable. It's a beautiful acting shift because she's like, fuck you, fuck you. That gets even better when they see the ship. Like the nervousness is lovely transformation because she's still confidently nervous, which is great. Her body language, but her face, It's great. Good scene.
But there's another one of the classic Star Trek memes here, where he's like, "Did she not even pick up one piece of trash?" And he's got his fingers, and somebody photoshops out the one finger.
Oh, the
I
cigar.
don't know if you knew that. Well, yeah, but yeah.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's what it's from.
Yeah. It's a beautiful little scene. It's great.
Yeah.
But then she comes back with the only thing she can say. But, do you believe it? Yes. Have you always believed it? Yes. Do you still believe it? Yes. Is it the law? Yes. Okay. If the people say yes, what more can you say, Mr. Data? They have agreed. There's nothing else here. I may or may not have helped in my own way. He says I have. Rest.
And it's pretty much done because Data's like, "Do you have anything else to say, Captain?" And that's when LaForge comes in, and they request a recess.
I love the way he's like, "Data, Geordie." It's like, I'm this formal judge.
Yeah.
Oh, hey mate. Hey.
Hey, Data.
It's great. I love it. It's so chill. Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Yeah, because he was about to lose because the technicality of the law, and Data's the technical guy. Yeah, it's great.
I love how he even says to Geordie, my reputation as a litigator, not to mention my immortal soul, is in serious jeopardy here.
Such a good starter line. Yeah.
Yeah. So we find out it's a cloak ship. He's like, she has a Romulan cloaking device, more like a bad copy of one. And they explain it's a wavelength stretch out to find it. And the Enterprise has just had this cloaking thing extended around it. So
doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah, we've already made contact with them. So here's what I want you to do. We have less than an hour.
Yeah. Because I'm assuming, though, if they've got through the cloak, they've already beamed aboard the alien ship and captured it. Because otherwise, how would they be able to get through a cloak, scan it? Like, you know what I mean? There's a slight disconnect. If they've already made contact, then they had to have subverted it.
I think the Enterprise would know something was up because of the dampening field, whatever. They're going to look for what's causing it, why the shuttle just veered away and went back to the planet, why they lost contact. Yeah. So they'd start investigating. They'd maybe find the ship, and then all of a sudden Geordie's contacting them. Yeah, like I said, I'd like to see that process. I would really like to see that side of the situation, but oh well.
You need the dream team. Not just Riker, unfortunately. But I love the little name drop. Romulans Cloaking, as if they're the only guys with cloaks. No, a copy. But the fact they don't detect it, even though it's doing really magically high-powered things, they don't know. It's not a bad copy. I think it's a very good copy. And she can beam through her cloak. This is a great cloak. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't think a Romulan could beam through cloak and also teleport and hologram. All that shit is really advanced. I wish they'd gone more into it. Whereas you look at the Voyager Con people, their shitty little ship with their shitty little replicated con badges, their shitty little hair. It's like these con guys can barely talk us through. They can't. There's no magic there. But yeah, and the lead in here is great. You know the tables are going to turn, but you don't know what. I appreciate that they leave it a bit of mystery.
Well, the whole I can take her powers away from her. And then he makes the earthquake happen, and Data's like, "Sir, you can stop that now." He's like, "Oh, okay, Ardra, you make it stop."
Yep.
She's like, "Of course." Oh no, I like the shaking.
It's so comfortable. It's so it's so good for one's back. Just a massage.
Well, she's enjoying sitting in that chair with it shaking, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, this scene is pure magic to watch.
Or not,
because she's still holding it together. Even though there's no other answer except I've been rumbled. She's still absolutely holding it together because she's got to keep that. But her nervousness is so on her face. Yeah. I love it. Love it.
Well, I don't like the tremors, and he's Thanos now.
Well, no, I think he's Q. He gets to play Q.
Yeah.
All he knows is the god powers Q can do. So he's that must be satisfying. I don't know if Patrick knew that going in, but the meta commentary that he's now playing Q.
Yeah. I never thought about that.
He's finally got the power, at least according to this
Yeah.
guy. That's great. That's a lovely little note because he didn't have to do anything. That's the point. You don't need to do hand gestures, so I love that.
Makes Ardra disappear. Come
Yep.
back, Ardra, if you can. No? Yeah, he's having fun.
Yes. And then I am Veclar again, and I say, man, I was in 9 hours of makeup for this.
Impudence. Impudence is pretending to be Feklar or Klingon. Yeah.
And boy, Data's face. I mean, talk about he's clearly emoting.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah.
So this is fun.
Yeah. Because he has no idea, which I love. It's just, he's impartial. He's like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. I'm gonna rule on this now easily. No, it's beautiful. And again, I love her acting. She's because she's still sitting there, calmly, considered. She's been absolutely rumbled, and she can't use any of her powers. And the way she leaves shows she can't beam anymore. She's still there mentally. Love it.
But then we find out, yes, she has a ship, she has a crew, we've taken over the ship, and these are all done through technology. And just they've been monitoring my communications, and that's how we've been able to do these tricks. So, great explanation and perfectly played.
And I think part of why this episode works better, internal logic-wise, is that they made a point of saying this race gave up their higher technology. If they'd had all this, if they had holograms and beaming, as other planets tend to sometimes, this wouldn't be magic. But they can't be too disadvanced to make it, set Seth to create as being, oh look, it's another medieval town. So it's not magic to them per se. They know tech is tech, but it's beyond their capabilities, etc. But yeah. But then she says, you know what, Judge, it's all good. I'll let them off. They've done good. I've done good. Happy days. Bye, guys. I'll see you next time. I'm actually going to walk this time because excellent. It's really good for. Oh. Gods, eh?
And I gotta say, the way she stands with her hands on her hips multiple times, I love that.
This is going to be one of Stuart's 10 out of 10s for his young libido self, isn't it?
Well, you have to wait and see.
Well, not long though. Yeah, it's because it's such a long build. This is like the anti-quick ending. So it's like 15 minutes is this one trial scene, which is fine. It works well. And then you get the guy saying, "Hey, thanks, my planet aren't slaves. Thanks, appreciate it, mate." Like it's such a political way of doing it. I love it. Oop.
And she's like, "You would have had a lot more fun if you'd lost." Oh, you missed that.
Sorry.
And she says, "Yeah, you would have had a lot more fun if you'd lost."
Yes.
And then
which is
until we meet again, Jean-Luc Picard. Yeah, I wish she would have came back actually, because that would have been great.
Or in Voyager or DS9, but obviously DS9 would have been better. Yeah, perfect character to bring back. And then they're like, "Well, hey, that was a day." Yes, it was, sir. At least in the look. And they get to enjoy the set one last time as we cut to black. No ship leaves orbit. No, not even any back to the ship and say, "How was that, Riker?" It was good, sir. Right, warp out, and then goes away impulse. No awkward that motion. Yeah, super efficient, and yet very long scenes. And guys, yeah, there we are. This is a very efficient episode. I know I have some stuff to do after this, so we've been pretty efficient today. Not many super chats. We haven't had much of a inter-chat with you guys, but now we're at the scores part, so if we can get another 45... I mean, really, I want 60. But if anyone can help anything, that'd be great. Stuart, discussion, final thoughts.
Yes, dear.
And has this been any different? Because, this is more in-depth than you tend to go in your own brain. Has this changed your thoughts at all?
I would say no, it hasn't changed my thoughts. This has been one of my favorites, and one that I often think of fondly and remember. I want to tell people about, because it's a fun episode, and like I said, I like the ancient aliens thing and the technology and being used against ancient cultures and just how that would work. And I think it's very well illustrated here. Plus, I mean, you got Ardra, and she could enslave me any day. And Yeah, it's just fun. I wish we would have saw her ship. I wish we would have saw, that plus the technology that she uses, like you said, the transporter effects, the whatever are really fantastically done, and it's just so flashy and showy, just like a magician, and so well practiced as well. Plus the using the eye gestures to do things. I mean, hey, they're predicting the future there because Google Glasses do the same
Mm.
thing. You can control them with your eye movements, so I think that's great.
Yeah, they definitely
Um,
undersold how advanced her ship is. Because seriously,
Yes, I would have liked to have seen it and
yep.
dissected it.
And it could easily just been a really simple boxy ship,
Yeah.
but because all it has to be is a platform for the tech, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Especially she has no idea how long this will be, how long she has to keep this up for. I mean, this might be in orbit for 2 years or whatever, or not.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows what? Yeah.
And seeing Data as the judge or the arbiter, just his reaction to, as we just talked about with
Yep.
Picard doing all the tricks and him not knowing, having a clue what the hell is going on. He's like, oh, just that subtle little look on his face, like he's like, this is awesome. So I was going to rule against you, Captain.
You were 5 minutes away from having your soul
Yeah,
removed. And it's great because Data knows so much. So anytime he's in the dark and learns something, well, that's kind of
yeah,
he's the smart one. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, this is a fun episode and definitely one of my favorite of TNG for sure. So for season 4, I'm gonna have to give this a what the hell? I'll give it a 10 out of 10 for season 4, just like I did for yesterday's The Wounded. For all of TNG, it's gonna get a 9.5 again. Unfortunately,
Wow.
it's definitely up there. It's one of my favorite Star Trek episodes for multiple reasons.
And that's one of those episodes where I guarantee thousands will disagree, saying, "The same quality as Wounded, but that's a war story with epic things, and this is just a silly story." But that's where personal enjoyment factor comes in that beats other
Yes,
ones. Like we both appreciate Measure of Man, but we don't necessarily enjoy Measure of Man in the same way.
yes, yeah,
So
yeah,
this is where our review scores are important to us because this is it's our scores. And we can as long as we can justify it. That's the important thing.
absolutely. But we're looking forward to your scores. If you can super chat your scores, I will read them when Samuel is done giving his
Mm-hmm.
scores. And if not, if it's just a regular chat, he will read the scores out.
Yeah,
But if we can
score
get a few
away.
more super chats, would be great. But again, not every day can be, a hit. So
We're here either way to give you free fun entertainment.
yes,
Uh,
absolutely. So if you can, please do. Otherwise,
Enjoy.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, for me, this is definitely one of the most memorable of TNG for many reasons. It was kind of like the one with Trelane and TOS. It's like it's eminently memorable, because the
Yeah.
acting makes it memorable, the scene makes it memorable, there's fun stuff that happens.
Squire of Gothos.
Yeah, it's great. It's just great.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like I said, the
That would be
action.
one of my favorite TOS episodes
Yeah,
for sure as well. Yeah.
yeah. If one of the best is most memorable and most rewatchable, this is a most memorable, most rewatchable. It's not really a ship episode, and it, again, could be most other sci-fis to some extent. The ones with more alien-y aliens. But Patrick is great in it, Data's good in it. And it plays with expectations thoroughly, and it doesn't. This is where Star Trek and TNG writers especially take material that could be very simple and plain and vanilla and raise it to a place of uniqueness. This has been done before. They do it different and very, very well. So well done for them. It's more just the problems with it are more just a lack of depth, but that was intentional because you've only got so much. So if you've got a hard drive of a terabyte, there's only a certain amount of space you can fill. If your script can only be so long, at some point you've got to choose what you keep and don't. And they focus on a very
Hmm.
specific focused plot at the detriment to the overall world building, but as we know, they don't come back again, so it doesn't matter. You want so yeah, for me, it's in a top tier, but it's nowhere near perfect. But that for me, 10 is a perfect. 10 is a hard to get. So for me, this season, I'm gonna give it a. Although, what was that? Just 1 second. Make sure I'm consistent.
Well, while you're doing that, we have 98 likes with 108 people watching. If you guys can hit like, if you haven't, let's get likes up to at least 100 would be great.
Huh. I've got to keep myself there. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because I looked at what I gave an 8.5 to previously. It's definitely better than my 8.5. So it's a 9 for this season.
I think some of the numbers in this one are going to be skewed this season for sure.
But that's the fun bit of reviewing with you, Stuart.
I know.
All of TNG, I'm going to give that an 8.5. It's in a top tier. Yeah, 8.5. It's very solid. What's that? Top 15%. That's really good. You know, considering I don't give that many 10s, 10s aren't really an option. So you got 9.5, 9, 8.5, and 8. And it's 8.5. So it's right up there. Yeah, it's very good.
Fleetpaw Swiftback puts in $10.
Ooh, there you go.
9.5 out of 10 for season 4. 9 out of 10 for TNG. Off the charts for Trekyards. It's a very good episode. Ardra is hot as fuck. Feklar was scary for a 6-year-old. Feklar was hot as fuck. Wishing we saw the Cult of Ardra though.
Yes.
Yes, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would have taken out the Dickens. And just because I would have had one. And
just the way you said that, just Dickens. Just
take out the Dickens. Take out one more of the scenes of them re-explaining the plot. You don't need it. Basically, the first third. Refine the first. Everything from. I guess everything from her on the bridge in the uniform. From everything from there on is pretty much amazing. Wouldn't change a damn thing. It's the first third. I would improve. I would rewrite a bit, but that's not just to make it better. Give it that 9 or 10 slot.
Olivia Julius, $5.
Hey.
I'm mad.
Oh,
the Jeffries Tube monster woke me up, and coming up here, I saw we were under 100 likes. Hit like now, people. Avenge my sleep. 106 likes now, so you've been avenged. And Area 51. Area 51 throws in $1. No comment. Thank you very much, Area 51. Very appreciated.
I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. It's nice to talk about positive, good, strong Trek. As we are now, as you said, halfway through TNG. It's taken us a while, but I think we're at a gentle pace. We're doing this pretty well.
I'm surprised though. Jill gave this a 3 out of 10.
Oh my, really?
Yeah.
Jill, tell us why. That's surprising. Give us as much of a comment as you can put in the comment. Let us know why. Don't have to super chat anything. Just let us know why. But let me read out some non-super chat scores. 9 out of 10. 8, 7, 8, 9, 5.5. Dan, 23. Gosh. 9.5, 9, 9, 10, 7.5, 8, 9. Night Court out of 10. 8.5, 8, 8, 8, 10. So Mr. Treble. 7 out of 10. Fun comments. 10 out of 10. So high bar. But I honestly do think that's it's similar to the Q one where the episode itself lets itself down a bit, but the strong performance just burns through the noise so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to find out why Jill gave it such a low score,
that's
but
surprising. Jill has her opinions, and we'd love to know why. But next time, Clues, which is the one where I didn't remember it because the name is very unhelpful until you reminded me, and I gave the entire plot line because it was easy to remember. This one is actually one I remember watching much later than every other one, so it stands out to me as a late TNG experience one. And I remember being very clever.
This one's going to be up there score-wise as well, I'm afraid. It's another one that I really enjoy.
And it's also one where any show can do it, but Star Trek did it better. Because the characters, and see Data be the villain, in essence, and watching the official, on the Blu-ray, the next time on trailer, makes Data the bad guy, and it's weird. They give a lot away. It's a very spoilerific one. But the context is interesting for that one. But Jill, let us know, because we've got a few minutes left. Let us know if you can. Give us your hey, and if you can get $9 more, at least we'll round up $9 more.
Lance Ripplinger, Marta Dubois was a great guest star. TNG had a lot of great guest stars over the years. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about the movie Clue? I love the movie Clue with Tim Curry. I think that's a fantastic movie with the different endings. I think it's great.
Cool.
One of my favorites.
One of your faves. Nice.
One of my faves, man. Are you doing a review of Lower Decks tomorrow, says Ozzy? No, tomorrow is Wednesday, which means It's prediction day. We're going to talk about the next time on Lower Decks, talk about what we think might happen, what we'd like to see happen, and hopefully you guys will join us for that. And then Thursday, I'll be doing my first reaction review at 10 p.m. And then Friday, of course, is our full review of the episode. So
Yeah, and the weekend, if there's no ship, then we have a Trekyards Originals coming out, as in if there's no new ship. One of a special new mini-series within the Trekyards Original series. Lots of information to dissect, think about, and some Trek Legacy to talk about. So look forward to that, guys. A good old new ship. Yeah.
And hopefully you guys enjoyed all of the Mike McMahon interviews. Those are wrapped up now. With the third part was last Sunday. So if you haven't checked them all out, go watch them. There's some really great questions, great answers. He's a fun guy to talk to.
Yes.
And I just really want to pimp those, share those around with people that you know like Lower Decks, because there's a lot of good information in there.
And our ability to get more interviews will be partially dependent on these interviews. So if all 99 of you would share any of those parts on your Facebook or your Twitter today, or on Saturday, say, and that ups the views by an extra 1,000 or 2,000, that will make a difference. So that is a legitimate. If you want to see, like, we got an unfiltered, pre-approved question time with him. That's really rare. Like, that's a legitimate thing to get. So we want more of that. So even 10 of you share, but I would like 102 of you share.
Yeah, and with season 1 coming to a close soon, we'd like to get him at the end of the season. Yep. So I know there's a few questions that have popped up for me now, having seen a few more episodes, that I'd like to ask him and see what he says. He might not be able to answer them as much as I'd like him to, but it'd be interesting to find out and get another sit down with him.
And what was doubly amazing, that we were given like 15 minutes to talk to him, but we got almost double that. So he liked us, and we had such a good vibe.
Yep. People are saying the interviews were good, but a bit short. Well, yeah, we were scheduled for a 15-minute time slot. Turned out to be about half an hour with him. Yeah. Because he was just enjoying talking to us. So it was
really only ever going to be one 10-minute interview with 5 minutes of ramble, but we managed to get more. So guys, don't say it's short, but it was actually a very dense interview. It was longer than we were given, but we had a good vibe.
We might be releasing the whole interview in its complete form at some point, so stay tuned for that.
And that's more so you can see like the chemistry, because it does build as we go. You can kind of see the love for Mike as we grow. We hope there'll be more too. But yeah, last super chat though is currently
Area 51.
And we'll say 2 more minutes. If anyone wants to super chat last, they can tell us a lot. If not, thanks for watching, guys. We're almost at Lower Decks again. It comes around, and almost at Discovery. Season 3. Oh my goodness.
Ooh, yeah.
And then I know
I know. And the trailer for season 2 came out today. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's good. It's not a Rickroll. Don't worry. It's an actual thing. And we kind of debated for a half second talking about it today, but there really wasn't much we wanted to say except it looks good, and we can't really speculate too much. I mean.
Yeah, the whole show is slow, methodical scenes with nice lighting and nice acting. But it's we talked about it for a minute while we get our last super chat. It looked ambitious, more ambitious, which it should be. Looked like they went to some locations maybe. Obviously they've now all the setups happened, so they can now use the execution. But they basically started filming season 2 pretty quickly after season 1, so they're right into it. And they finished production 1 day before the COVID locked down the sets. Captain Kennedy said, yeah, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's their last production they did. But you can imagine if there was such a blow-away success, they would put more money in, and considering how much they did with that one, what would an even bigger version of the thing look like? So I'm pretty... Yeah. And I also hear that it's a more varied season with more characters. I mean, it was a lot of the guy walking through with a helmet. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. And we're going to get a legacy person. I think we're all hoping for, even Luke Skywalker, hey, this is after that part of the era. Or someone like Hera from Rebels and stuff. Because we're getting somebody. Or Boba Fett.
I think it's going to be Boba Fett, personally.
It makes the most sense, but, And hey, if they're going to do Boba Fett, bloody well get the kid that played him. He's now old enough to be a little bit too young, but still, Or it's too old to get the older guy, because he's actually like his 70s now. Or late 60s. He was a bit older than I thought he was when he did episode 2, and now he's like, he actually looks old now.
So that being said, he was in the Sarlacc pit for a while, so maybe why he looks older.
Yes, but he doesn't look opposing anymore, and he put on a bit of weight. Whereas the kid would be more like the youthful energy. Well, not the other thing. Boba Fett's youthful energy guy, obviously, but you know, you also don't think of him as like a 75-year-old. You know, your grandpa. I'm Grandpa Fett.
Listen, Sonny. Back in my day, we had
shoot you.
viewfinders on our helmets. Yeah,
You've
prick.
got your armor's all silver. Fuck you.
You and your Beskar armor. I had to deal with what I had. Look at the dents and scratches.
Beskar steel. I've just got steel.
Which I had to steal.
I had no meal because I stealed my Beskar steel without a Beskar.
Yeah.
Go watch the trailer, it's good, and we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah.
Good stuff, good stuff. All right, guys.
I guess that's it. Area 51 has the last super chat slot, so thank you
Good job.
guys. And check back tomorrow for our prediction video.
Yeah. Till then, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Commander Cockings.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.